Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stottar Sat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Stottar Sat Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Anant Koti Vaishnav Brinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराण की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga all glories to the Srila Prabhupada Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We are doing Canto 3, Chapter 23, title Devahuti's Lamentation, and text 22. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Canto 3, Chapter 23 and text 22. Please repeat after me. Idrigriham tapashyantim Nati pretena chetasah Sarvabhutasayabhigyah Pravochat kardama swayam Idrigriham tapashyantim Nati pretena chetasa Sarvabhutasayabhigyah Pravochat kardama swayam Idrigriham tapashyantim Nati pretena chetasa Sarvabhutasayabhigyah Pravochat kardama swayam. Prabhuji, please. Idrigriham tatpashyantim Nati pretena chetasa Sarvabhutasayabhigyah Pravochat kardama swayam. Idrigriham tatpashyantim Nati pretena chetasa Sarvabhutasayabhigyah Pravochat kardama swayam. Idrigriham tatpashyantim Nati pretena chetasa Sarvabhutasayabhigyah Pravochat kardama swayam. Okay, word for word translation. Idrik, search. Griham, house. Tat, that. Pashyantim, looking at. No ati pritena, not much pleased. Chetasa, with a heart. Sarvabhuta, of everyone. Ashaya avigya, understanding the heart. Prabhochat, he addressed. Kardamaha, Kardama, Swayam, personally. Okay, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. When he saw Devahuti looking at gigantic opulent palace with a displeased heart, Kardama Muni could understand her feelings because he could study the heart of heart of anyone. Thus he personally addressed his wife as follows. Purport. Devahuti had spent a long time in the hermitage, not taking much care of her body. She was covered with dirt and her clothing was not very nice. Kardama Muni was surprised that he could produce such a palace, and similarly his wife Devahuti was also astonished. How could she live in that opulent palace? Kardama Muni could understand her astonishment, and thus he spoke as follows. So we'll cover another verse also, verse 23. I'll read the verse, you don't need to repeat. Nimajyasmin hrade bhiru bimanamidamaruha idam shukla kritam tirtha mashisham yapakam ninam. Translation. My dear Devahuti, you look very much afraid. First bathe in the lake Bindu Sarovar, created by Lord Vishnu himself, which can grant all desires of a human being, and then mount this airplane. Purport. It is still the system to go to places of pilgrimage and take a bath in the water there. In Vrindavan, the people take baths in the river Yamuna. In other places such as Prayag, they take baths in the river Ganges. The words Tirtham, Ashisham, Yapakam, Tirtham, Ashisham, Yapakam refers to fulfillment of desires by bathing in a place of pilgrimage. Kardama Muni advised his good wife to bathe in the lake Bindu Sarovar so that she could revive the former beauty and luster of her beauty. Okay, Mangalacharan. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nam Chi Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bande Ham Shri Guruhu Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Ditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhamritamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha Vansha kalpataru vescha kripa sindhu vacha patita nam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, welcome again this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, just before beginning my class, I would like to say that I personally don't have any qualification to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't have any personal qualification. I don't see myself having any personal qualification to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. But still, I'm trying to speak in front of you. So my mood is not to teach you. Rather, my mood is to speak few words that I've been learning from pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, that I've been learning from the lectures of all the superior Vaishnavas, Gurus. So with that mood, I would like to begin today's class. So text 22. Translation. When he saw Devahuti looking at a gigantic opulent palace with a displeased heart, Kardama Muni could understand her feelings because he could study the heart of anyone. Thus he personally addressed his wife as follows. Text 23. My dear Devahuti, you look very much afraid. First bathe in the lake Bindu Sarovar created by Lord Vishnu himself, which can grant all the desires of a human being, and then mount this aeroplane. So in previous verses, we heard how after getting married, Kardama Muni engaged himself in the austerities and penances. He engaged himself in the devotional service. And in that course, he couldn't look after his wife. Kardama Muni was fully engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. He was not able to look after his wife. And in that point of time, Devahuti was selflessly serving Kardama Muni. For long duration of time, Devahuti was selflessly serving Kardama Muni. And after a long time, when Kardama Muni realized or opened his eyes, he realized that his wife was serving him so selflessly, and he was not being able to reciprocate with her. He was not being able to exchange the love with her. What is the duty of the ideal husband and ideal wife? If we see, the ideal husband takes care of the ideal wife, has to take care of the wife, and the ideal wife has to serve husband selflessly. In this case, we heard Devahuti, Mother Devahuti was serving Kardama Muni selflessly, so selflessly. But Kardama Muni, he was not being able to reciprocate, or he was not being able to reciprocate her love or her service. So in this case, we can see this. And after realizing, Kardama Muni, she was engaged in my service selflessly, but I was not able to reciprocate with her. When Kardama Muni realized that, when Kardama Muni came to know that, he became a little bit worried, and he thought about giving the reciprocation. He thought about serving his wife back, giving the reciprocation to his wife back. And for that purpose, what Kardama Muni did? Kardama Muni was very much like great devotee of the Supreme Lord, and he had the mystic power as well. Great devotee of Supreme Lord, he could see the Supreme Lord face to face. We heard he engaged in the penances for 10,000 years. He engaged in meditation with devotional service for 10,000 years. And after 10,000 years, Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, Sri Bhagavan, became so pleased with Kardama Muni. He personally came to give him darshan. And we are reading in the translation and purport here, the Bindu Sarovar. The Bindu Sarovar is nothing. Like when Krishna realized that Kardama Muni is engaged in penances, engaged in meditation for me, when Krishna realized that, Krishna came to give him the personal darshan. So many people might think that Krishna is not merciful. Krishna only wants to take from the devotees. He doesn't reciprocate. So many people might think that. And Mayavadis might think that especially. Because they don't accept the personal form of the Supreme Lord. But no, the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Bhagavan, Sri Krishna is not like that. He is a person like us. He is a person like us. And he loves to reciprocate with our love. He loves to reciprocate with our service and with our sincere service, sincere devotional service to him. Same Kardama Muni engaged 10,000 years for meditation for Krishna. And Krishna became so pleased. He became so pleased when he saw Kardama Muni. Kardama Muni, after engaging in meditation for 10,000 years, he became so skinny, like there is the description of Kardama Muni also. He became, and we can see the picture also. He became so skinny, but still he was engaged in the service of the Lord. Still he was engaged in the meditation of the Lord. How would you feel if someone is doing so much for you? Definitely we will feel so happy, and we'll feel little guilty also. Oh man, this man is doing so much for me. We'll feel that will definitely melt our heart. Right? That will definitely melt our heart. In the case of Kardama Muni and Sri Bhagavan, also same thing happened. When Bhagavan saw Kardama Muni engaged in the meditation so deeply without caring for his own body, that melted the heart of Supreme Lord. That melted the heart of Krishna. And out of that melting heart, he cried. He cried seeing his devotees' love for him. And that tear dropped in the land and became the lake known as Bindu Sarovar, which we were reading in the translation and purport. Bindu Sarovar. So that is the history of the Bindu Sarovar actually. That is not the ordinary Sarovar. That is not the ordinary water. That is the tear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's how exalted the river or Sarovar is, Bindu Sarovar, which we are reading in the translation and purport. And we are discussing, Devahuti, Mother Devahuti was engaged in the service of Kardam Muni, and Kardam Muni later realized she was engaging in selfless service, but I was not being able to repay, or I was not being able to reciprocate back for her service. Kardam Muni decided to give her the reciprocation back. And for that reason, he created the Biman. Castle in the air, we were discussing, castle in the air. Very nice description, very 7 or some stories building. And there is big gardens, very nice rooms also, bedrooms, everything we were discussing, we were describing in the previous verses. So these all the things created, Kardam Muni created to reciprocate back for the service of Mother Devahuti. So that's the background. And we can read in the translation, Kardam Muni could understand her feelings because he could study the heart of anyone. Actually, that's the glory of the devotee. When someone is in the materialistic conception of life, when someone is in the bodily conception of life, he only thinks about himself. He only thinks about himself. So he cannot he doesn't even think about others. He only thinks, what can I get out of this? What can I get out of that relationship? What can I get out of him or her? He only thinks that. But devotee is not like that. Devotees directly engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. Directly engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. As they are engaging in the service of the Lord, and they gain the power, mystic power, to understand the other's heart as well. That's the glory of the devotee. They can understand the heart of the others. One time, one of my senior Prabhu's superior mentor, Prabhu, he was saying, normally we go to the distribute book in the street. We go to distribute book in the street, we can see like, people are more happy than us. People are more happy than us. Why would they take book from us to become more happy and to become more peaceful? So we might think like that, but we shouldn't think like that. The Prabhu was saying, we should see the things through the eyes of the Shastra. Through the eyes of the Shastra. We should see the things through the eyes of the Shastra. And what does Shastra say? Jivera Swarupa Krishnera Nityadas. All the jivas, their constitutional position is Krishna's das. Their position is to engage in the service of the Krishna. And then only when they are situated in their constitutional position, when they are engaged in the service of the Krishna, and then only they can become happy. If we see in the street, people in the street, most of the people, they are not engaging in the service of the Supreme Lord. They don't know who is Krishna. They don't know who is Krishna. They don't know their relationship with Krishna, and they are not engaging in the service of Krishna. And how can they become happy? Superficially, they might seem happy, but internally, everyone's heart is empty. Like that, the Prabhu was saying to me. Actually, that's the point. Actually, yeah. Sometimes when we go in the book distribution in the street, we see like people are more happy than us. But actually, they are superficially happy. Their heart is empty. Their heart, even though externally they might seem so happy and so smiling, laughing, their heart is still crying for the service of Krishna. And as a member of the ISKCON, it is our duty to convince ourselves, yes, that's true. Shastra says, Jivar Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. Even though they look so happy, their heart is crying for Krishna. So we have to convince ourselves like this, and we have to move on distributing book. Wherever we meet, wherever we go, whoever we meet, we have to give book, we have to give mercy. That way we can please Srila Prabhupada and all the previous acharyas. So that's the thing. Yeah, point is, devotees can understand the heart of anyone. That's fact, actually. Devotee can understand the heart of anyone. And thus he personally addressed, and we can see here in the translation, opulent palace with a displeased heart. Mother Devahuti, we were saying, Kardam Muni created the castle in the air, so opulent castle in the air. But when Mother Devahuti saw that, she was not so happy. She was displeased. Why? But because she was engaging in the service, I was saying before, she was engaging in the service of Kardam Muni selflessly. And she was so beautiful before marriage, and at the time of marriage also she was very, very beautiful. Mother Devahuti was very, very beautiful. But later, Kardamuni was only engaging in devotional service, and she was serving Kardamuni selflessly. And because of that, she lost all her beauty. We heard the description just before few verses. She lost her beauty. And she became so skinny. We can read in the translation, purport as well. So she became so skinny, she lost all her beauty. And she is thinking, I have lost all my beauty. And my dear husband Kardamuni has created this kind of castle, opulent castle. Now how can I enjoy with that? She is thinking like that. And she is becoming worried. That's why it is mentioned, displeased heart. Displeased heart. Actually, if we see, consciousness of the people, consciousness, thinking of the people depends upon their body also actually. If we see. If we go into the street, beggar, they look so like malnutrition, they look like not being proper care, not getting proper food. All the beggars and the people living in the street, they look like that. And if we, like somehow or other, if we talk to them, we can see their consciousness. What is their level of thinking? What is their level of consciousness? We can see that. And if we happen to meet some like businessmen, some entrepreneurs, like they dress themselves so nicely. And if we happen to talk with them, we can hear from them. They talk everything about like earning money. They will talk about dream. They will talk about ambition, earning big money and making more money, being more opulent and enjoying more sense gratification. They will talk about that. We can hear from them everything about passion. And if we happen to talk with the saintly persons, like someone is dressing as a saintly person, someone is dressing like yellow robes, saffron, and someone is shaving the head, and someone is putting the tilak. If we happen to talk with them, we will definitely get chance to hear about Krishna. We will definitely get chance to hear about Krishna. The point I was trying to mention is the body, the condition, the state in which the people is living determines his consciousness. That's why Mother Devahuti, her body was so skinny, she lost all her beauty. But her husband created a very opulent castle, and she is thinking in that way. How can I enjoy now? Like that, she is thinking in that way. And if we see in the Gita, Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna was, Arjun was very much eager to see the Virat Rupa of the Krishna. And at that time, he was acting as a conditioned soul. And he was very much interested to see the universal form of the Krishna. And what Krishna said in that case, you cannot see my universal form with your naked eyes, with your material eyes. For that reason, I will have to give you Dibya Drishti, transcendental vision, divine vision. I will have to give you divine vision, Krishna said to Arjun. And Krishna gave divine vision to Arjun. And he could see the Virat Rupa of Krishna. And when he saw the Virat Rupa of Krishna, he became so fearful. And at last he was saying, no, I don't want to see this. I am now fearful. I want to see your Samsundar form. Like that he's saying, two-handed form, like that Arjun was saying. And in the context also, in our context also here, Mother Devahuti is worried. Mother Devahuti is displeased in her heart. Because she lost all her beauty, and she has to enjoy the opulent creation of her husband. And for that reason, just like Krishna gave Arjun the divine vision. Same way, Kardamuni is saying to Devahuti, Mother Devahuti, go and take bath in the Bindu Sarovar. And you will regain all your beauty. Like that Kardamuni is saying. So yeah, that's the thing actually. If we see nowadays also, if we see, we are in bodily conception of life. We are in material conception of life. And we can meet so many people like material conception of life, materialistic especially. They say, I want to see God. Can you show me God? Like that they say, they challenge. They think like whatever they can conceive within their mind is all in all. And there is nothing beyond that. They think like that. And they challenge the authority of the God. But we shouldn't be like that. They're thinking the person who is challenging the authority of the God or existence of the God, whoever is challenging them, whoever person is challenging the authority of God, their conception is so limited. They cannot conceive even the whole area where they are living. For example, someone is living in the Sydney city and he challenging the authority of the God. Someone is staying in the Sydney city and he challenging the authority of the God. He's saying God doesn't exist. If we see, his mind or his brain, his intelligence cannot even capture whole Sydney. Sydney is so big. Cannot even capture whole Sydney. Cannot even capture whole Australia. Cannot even capture whole world. Cannot even capture, and forget about capturing the whole universe. And what is God? God is that person from whose breathing millions upon millions of universe come into existence. Just by his breathing millions of universe. And that person, the same person who is challenging the authority of the God, he cannot just even conceive his like place. Wherever he is living, he cannot conceive the place wherever he is living. But he is challenging the authority of the God. How big God is. Millions upon millions of universes are coming out just by his breathing. And all the millions of universe goes like dissolves just by his inhaling. When Supreme Lord Krishna in his form as a Mahavishnu, he's lying in the causal ocean, Karano Dakshai, Karan Sagar, Karano Dakshai Vishnu, Mahavishnu. When he exhales, millions upon millions of universe comes out. And when he inhales, millions upon millions of universe goes in. That's the greatness of God. And how can the limited-minded person, limited intelligent person, and limited brain person conceive the God? He cannot conceive the God like that. He cannot understand the God like that. So then how should we understand the God? Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti tad jnanas jnaninas tattu darshina. Tad vidhi pranipatena. By saying God doesn't exist. If God exists, show me God. That way you cannot understand God, my dear friend. If you want to understand God, if you want to see God, pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. You have to surrender. Tattva darshina. Who is tattva darshi? Who is self-realized? Whoever has understood what is God, whoever has understood the science of God, and whoever has realized the God, to those persons, to those devotees, to those sadhus, you have to surrender. Pranipat. You have to surrender. Pariprashnena. And humbly you have to ask question. And you have to serve him like a menial servant. And then only upadiksanti tat jnanas, jnaninas tattva darshina. And then only he can show you God. And then only he can reveal you God. And then only he can make you realize the God. That's the process actually. If we see in the material world, if we see now in the present world especially, big philosophers, big scientists, big Mayavadis, they say God doesn't exist. They also have that kind of challenging mood. They don't believe in the authority of the God. But the process is, by challenging, we cannot understand. The process is, we have to pranipat. We have to humbly serve the realized soul. We have to humbly ask with them about the God. And then only we can realize God. Just like we sing every morning. Yashya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Yashya prasadat nagati kutopi. By serving the Guru, we can see the God. We can realize the God. That's what it means. And that's why it is said in the Shastra also. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra ko hai. Loba mantra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi hai. That's why all the Shastra says, Sadhu Sangha, association of the devotees. Association of the devotees. All the Shastras is promoting the association of the devotees. Otherwise you cannot understand God. Because of not understanding God, because of not understanding our relationship with the God, we are suffering here. Repeatedly we are changing our body, repeatedly we are taking birth, repeatedly we are suffering from disease, repeatedly we are going through the hellish planets, repeatedly we are transmigrating to different bodies, sometimes abominable bodies like hogs, dogs, sometimes like demigods bodies, because of not understanding the God. Actually, because of not understanding the God, whatever drama is going on in this material world, that all is happening. But when we understand the God, that's when our eternal life begins. Prabhupada says, when someone realizes Krishna, when someone understands Krishna, immediately his eternal life begins. And life in Krishna consciousness. How is the life in Krishna consciousness? That is our original position actually. Jivara Swarupa Krishna Nirdas. Krishna is also Satchidananda. And as Krishna is Satchidananda, we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are also Satchidananda. We are also eternal. We are also full of knowledge. And we are also full of bliss. But that is possible only when we understand Krishna and when we engage in the service of Krishna. When we engage in the service of Krishna, and then only our Sachidananda can be experienced. But present condition, they don't know that. They don't know who is Krishna. They don't know their relationship with Krishna. And they are not engaging in the service of Krishna. So, rather than being Sachidananda, they are under the Sattvagun, Rajagun and Tamagun. They are under the material energy. Daivihesha gunamai mamamaya duratyaya. Duratyaya. Really duratyaya. Very, very cruel, we can say. Material nature is very, very cruel. Cruel for the soul. But for the rebellious soul, whoever wants to enjoy, for them, material nature is very, very nice. Material nature is giving them chance to forget Krishna. Material nature is giving them body to enjoy as they like. Someone wants to enjoy, someone wants to eat. Prabhupada says in the lecture, someone may want to eat a lot of meat. And material nature will see that, material nature will understand that. Krishna will understand that. Krishna, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Riddesha Arjuna Tishtati. Krishna is living in the heart of everyone. Krishna understands that. Okay, you want to eat meat? Okay, you get tiger body. Material nature immediately gives tiger body to that living entity in the next life. And someone may wants to become opulent as a Brahma, and Krishna gives same kind of intelligence, and material nature will give same kind of body. But if someone may wants to understand Krishna, someone may wants to understand relationship with Krishna, Krishna will understand that, and Krishna will send Guru to him. That's how merciful Krishna is. Actually, if we see, material nature is yes, definitely cruel for the soul. Material nature is always trying to take away the soul from Krishna. Always trying to make soul forget Krishna. Material nature is very, very cruel for the soul. But behind that cruelty of material nature, there is the mercy of Krishna hidden. If we see in the material world, everyone is suffering. If I do that, there is also problem. If I do that, if I enjoy in that way, there is also problem. There is little bit enjoyment, but big misery is hidden behind that enjoyment. Sometimes going through the Adi Doibik, Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik kleshas, all the kleshas we are going through, and we are suffering birth, death, old age and disease. Very, very cruel. But behind this cruelty is also the mercy of Krishna. Why is mercy of Krishna? Yeah, okay, we have forgotten Krishna. From our part, we have forgotten Krishna. Okay, Krishna, we have forgotten Krishna. But Krishna is giving the misery after misery, problem after problem, dukkha after dukkha. Krishna is giving. Why? Because so that one day, that forgetful soul, that rebellious soul, may inquire about the absolute truth, may inquire about the real thing. Sometimes we can also see, some of us may have experienced also before coming to the Krishna consciousness. You were so frustrated out of life, and you might be thinking about some alternative of life. Some of us might have experienced that. That is the mercy of Krishna actually. Yes, Krishna gives lots of frustration. Material nature gives lots of frustration, so that we may inquire about Krishna one day. We may inquire about Krishna one day. So coming back to the point again, by challenging the authority of the God, we cannot understand God. We have to, as I already mentioned, tat viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. We have to surrender to the realized soul. We have to ask with them humbly. We have to serve them like a menial servant. And then only by their mercy, yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada, by their mercy, they can make us realize the God. That's why sadhu sangha sarva shastra ko hai. And when we hear about sadhu sangha, when we hear from sadhu about Supreme Lord, how is that? How does that feel? There is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. When we hear from sadhu, please repeat after me. Nibritta tarsai rupagiyamana bhavaushadhi chotra mano bhirama kahau uttama sloka gunanubada puman birajeta bina pasugna. So when we hear from the sadhus, how is that? How does it feel? Nibrita tarser upagiya manat. Bhabaushadi chotra manoviramat. Bhabaushadi chotra. Bhabaushadi. As I was discussing before. Bhabaushadi. Everyone is under the Bhavsagar, ocean of nescience. Everyone is thinking their body to be themselves. And they are trying to enjoy different ways. And one after another, they are getting the miseries. They are getting the sufferings only. They are thinking they can enjoy in that way and in this way. But one after another, they are getting misery only. That is the Bhabaushadi. Sansara davanala lead loka. This is like a blazing fire. Blazing fire. As I was mentioning before, we might have experienced that kind of blazing fire just before coming to Krishna consciousness. And one day we might have been asking, is that the life? Is there any alternative? We might be asking like that. We might have asked like that. Some of us might have asked like that. And then by Krishna's mercy, we came somehow or other, we came to Krishna consciousness. Bhabaushadi, that's Bhabaushadi, blazing fire. That is misery only. Bhabaushadi chotra manoviramat. That Bhabaushadi, we are in the Bhavsagar, and after drinking Bhabaushadi, we can get out of that Bhavsagar. After drinking the Bhabaushadi, we can get out of that miserable condition. We can get out of that suffering condition of full of sufferings. Bhabaushadi chotra manoviramat. And that gives the pleasure to the mind. That gives the pleasure to the mind. What gives the pleasure to the mind? Kaha uttama shloka gunanubada. Gunanubada. Description of the uttama shloka. Description of the Supreme Person, Krishna. Krishna is also mentioned. Krishna has got millions of names. We read every morning, you have millions upon millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. He has millions upon millions of names. One of that is Uttama Shloka. Why is Uttama Shloka his name? His name is Uttama Shloka because all the great sages, all the great devotees praise him with the Uttam Shloka. With the Uttam means high level. Uttam means high level. Tama means darkness. Uttam means beyond darkness. That means Uttama means beyond this material world. This material world is the Tama. And Uttama means beyond this material world. That means transcendental, divine. All the great sages, all the great devotees praise Krishna with the divine slokas, with the divine words, with the divine slokas. That's why he's called as Uttama Shloka. Nibrita tarsai rupagiya manat bhabaushadi chotra manoviramat. Nibrita tarsai rupagiya manat. Nibrita tarsai. Nibrita tarsai means sadhus. Nibrita means who has rejected, who has given up. Tarsai. Tarsai means material enjoyment. Who has given up the material enjoyment. And upagiya manat. When the person who has given up the material enjoyment, that is the pure devotee of Krishna, that is the sadhu. Upagiya manat. When the person sing about Supreme Lord, kaha uttama shloka gunanuvada. When they sing about the Supreme Lord, and how is that? Bhabaushadi chotra mano viramat. That can get us out of the material world. That can get us out of this miserable condition of life. That can help us to achieve the eternal life of bliss and knowledge. And that is very, very pleasing to the mind. That is very, very pleasing to the mind. And last verse, this verse was said by Parikshit Maharaj. This verse was said by Parikshit Maharaj when Sukdev Goswami was saying the Srimad Bhagavad Katha up to the 9th canto. And he wanted to hear about Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj wanted to hear about Krishna. And he said to the Maharaj, Sukdev Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit said to Sukdev Goswami. And this verse he said, Nibrita tarsai rupagiya manat, bhabaushadi chotra mano viramad, kaha uttama shloka gunanubada, puman birajeta bina pashugnat. And last line is saying, puman birajeta bina pashugnat. Puman means human beings or mans. Birajeta means bereft of, bina pashugnat. Bereft of. And who will be bereft of the description of the Supreme Lord? Who will be bereft of the association of the sadhus? Bina Pashugnat. If he is not Pashugnat, he will hear. If he is Pashugnat, Pashugnat means who kills the animals. And there is a description also. Pashu means soul also. Pashugnat. Who kills his own soul and who kills other animals. They will be bereft of this kind of opportunity. They will not get chance to hear about Uttama Slok from the realized sadhus. Other they will hear. Like that, Sukdev Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit is giving us, telling us to hear Bhagavad Katha more. Otherwise, we will also become Pashugnath. That's true actually. If we don't do sadhu sangha, if we don't hear from sadhus about Krishna, somehow or other we will be in the bodily conception of life also, and we will be in this life of misery only, and we will be in the bhavsagar only, one after another, one after another. There will be miseries only. If we see like Shastras, like all the characters mentioned in the Shastra, they are very, very merciful upon us. They are very, very merciful upon us. Maharaj Parikshit, very, very merciful. He asked very, very nice question to Srila Sukadev Goswami. Because of that, he told the whole Bhagavad Katha, he told the whole description of Krishna. Very, very merciful upon us. And being very, very merciful upon us, he is telling, Bina Pashugnath. If you want to be Pashugnath, don't listen to Krishna. But if you don't want to be Pashugnath, that means if you don't want to kill yourself, if you don't want to kill yourself, if you want to get out of this life of misery, then hear about Krishna. Maharaj Parikshit is saying. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, we have got this opportunity. We have got Sadhu Sangha, we have got Srimad Bhagavatam, we have got Harinam, we have got everything. So we should take these things very seriously. We should take these things very seriously. Sometimes like familiarity breeds contempt, there is one saying. We have these things, we may tend to take it for granted. But we should again and again hear. We should again and again read from the Shastras the glories about these all things. That way we can save ourselves, we can advance in spiritual life, and we can help others advance in spiritual life. The point I was trying to say is, somehow or other we have got this opportunity. Somehow or other we are in the way of going back to Godhead. We have got this Aushadhi, we have got this Bhava-Aushadhi. Now it is our duty to give this Bhava-Aushadhi to others. Just like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jare dekho tare kao Krishna upadesh. Amar agya guru hai, tara yai desh. Wherever you go, whoever you meet, tell about Krishna. Give this Bhava-Aushadhi. Give this Bhava-Aushadhi to them. And Amar agya guru hai, tara yai desh. I'm giving this agya to you. I'm giving this order to you. Follow my order and become guru. Like that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. So coming to the conclusion, whatever opportunities, whatever aushadhis we have got, take this seriously. First thing, let's take this seriously. And then let's give it to others. Let's try as much as we can to give it to others. That way we can please our Srila Prabhupada. And that way we can please all our Acharyas and Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. So I would like to conclude here. If there is any comments or any correction, please welcome. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande.